Happy New Year and welcome to the Seller Club podcast.
2024, yay!
2024, yay!
Super
Happy New
yay.
Year, guys! Happy New Year.
We made it.
We're
Yeah.
here
We're here.
in the
I
flesh.
can't believe it.
It's a new year.
Last year feels like just like yesterday.
Last year feels like a long time ago. 2024,
Agree
we're
to
here,
disagree.
baby.
Honestly, though, yes, I totally concur with that. And before we agree or disagree about anything else, you know we gotta drop the beat. You thought I was gonna forget, didn't you?
Yeah, good job, Anna.
No, we gotta start the year off right.
Exactly. We don't want to start off with those monotonous Mondays. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
100%. No, certainly not. Certainly not.
this has to be like a monstrous Monday. It's first Monday of the year, man. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
our hopes gotta be at its highest, right? This year we've never been
Totally.
disappointed yet. Nobody has ever failed us yet.
That's
Nobody
right.
has
It's been
stabbed
perfect
us
so
yet.
far.
It's been,
Hope.
one
and
for
dreams.
one, baby.
exactly.
Magnificent Monday.
All right, so what's on today's schedule?
Well, we're not going to get stuck there, but we got to take a little look into the past and review 2023 because, everything that we went through, good, bad, ugly, exciting, whatever, there's definitely wisdom to glean from it. There's definitely direction to take from it as we look ahead into the other 364 days of this year. So let's just talk about some of our wins. I mean, number one, Seller Club wasn't even a thing at the beginning of 2023. It was not
That is true.
a twinkle in anyone's eye. It was not a thought in anyone's mind. So we've come a very long way, I feel like, in the last year, haven't we?
Did
Yeah,
you
Kenny,
even
what do you
think it
think?
was possible?
Did we think it was going to be possible? Of course we
Yeah.
did.
Oh.
We just
But
didn't
not
know when.
until partway through 2023.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And how much work and effort was involved in doing something
Yeah.
like this.
See,
Yeah.
it's a good
You
thing
know.
we didn't know some of that up
Yeah.
front.
Yeah, it's no
Yeah.
joke. I mean, Anna spends hours coming up with these game plans.
Oh my gosh, doing vocal exercises. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah.
no, I don't.
Podcast,
I mean, and Anna has to
singing.
deal with both of us, so.
I
That
feel like
is
we
true.
are three hooligans and a pod, though. Like, honestly, we are literally a podcast. But
I
See?
think, I think
yeah,
that's
I didn't even mean that.
that's
when
a
I said
big
it.
W. That's a big W to start a podcast, right?
Yeah.
In 2023, where, I mean, almost the second half of the year, right?
Yeah. Oh,
And-
for sure. I mean, we really started talking about it, I think, in like May, maybe?
Wait, like
It was
how?
like-
What?
Yeah.
Where did the idea come from to begin with?
Oh,
I credit you with that idea because I always like to joke that you forced me and Glenn to be friends. But
Yeah, that's true.
I don't
It
know.
was-
Like,
It was just a spur of a moment idea, and with no concept of how big of an undertaking it is. I said, like, we'll do a podcast. We'll record it. I'll figure it out. Until
Yeah.
the first episode, I literally had to subscribe to our hosting platform that day of the first episode. So, yeah, I
you're like,
think.
oh, it's getting real.
Yeah, I think that was really cool, and I think a lot of it too is like it was the timing of it, right? Like we all were in the same city under eBay headquarters, doing stuff for eBay Open. So I think that kind of like, all right, like Glenn and Anna's not gonna fight; they're friendly with each other. I think we can move on with this.
Ken only had to break us up like 3 times.
I
It was
know.
fine.
I was gonna like in a boxing match with Tyson, and I was like, "Oh
Listen,
man, this
I'm
is a
taking
battle.
that
This
as
is a tough
a
battle."
huge compliment. Huge
I
compliment.
saw Anna eBay open, and then a little
Bam.
punch. I was like, "Whoa!"
Man.
So, would you say our next win would be eBay Open? I mean,
Yeah.
very nice win.
I think
It was a
that's-
nice win.
Yeah,
eBay Open
big.
was so successful and so awesome this year in so many ways. But, I'm very proud that for all of us, the content that we contributed to, like, went over really well. And other sellers really appreciated it. They really connected with it. And that's why we do it. So it was very gratifying for sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
go
saw,
ahead.
Ken and Anna, the way you guys and everybody preparing for, especially for the very end of
The
eBay
keynote
Open.
finale.
Yeah, the
Oh
keynote
yeah,
finale
Glenn
was.
was secretly in the war room with us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Us
it
and
was a war
Lori.
room
It
too.
was.
I was actually listing in the war room while you guys were
Yeah,
practicing.
course you were.
he was making money, and
He's like, I was working.
yeah,
And I was
We were
like,
all working,
man,
but you
this
were
is
just listing
yeah.
as
There was so many
usual.
like tier levels to like this
Mhm.
keynote at the very end. It's like first it's this, then we get into this, and then we get into this. There's literally like 4 or 5 main levels to this, and I was like, man, this is
Yeah.
no joke here.
We spent a lot of time planning it. Like,
yeah.
we really did. It was
And-
many
and
meetings,
the
lots of
polishing-
collaboration.
The
Yeah.
polishing was,
Yeah.
it was like, this is how I describe it. It was an uncut gem, and eBay handed it to us, and he's like, y'all make it however you want it, and
Yeah.
we just start chiseling away, and until the very end, that's
Oh,
when
yeah.
we really start polishing it, because we had 2 run throughs, and then at the day off, it was like what the day before we had
Yeah.
one, and on
Yeah.
the day off, and at that very moment, I'm Mr. Wing It. I was sweating. I was.
Because you had us
I-
wear these huge hoodies that were hot. They were
I
so
was,
hot.
no, I was the most nervous of all because obviously Anna has been the mastermind of the script, and I was like, I'm
Ken
trying
didn't
to.
study for the test. No,
I,
I'm just
I
kidding.
didn't study for I know the general form, but when I see
Of
like
course.
strange words that I don't use, and I'm
Yeah.
like, and we were like editing at that moment, and I was just like,
Yeah.
and it fell into place because I think a lot of it too, because all our intentions were so like community serving, right? Like a lot of it was like
Yeah.
we want to
Yeah.
bring in a representation of sellers in this that are actually, I feel like we had the purest intentions.
We did, and we didn't want it any like roughness or like rough around the edges kind of stuff to like distract or take away from people's ability to connect with what we were saying and like what we were there representing. So we really cared about it, and I was sweating too that when we were making like little copy edits, like, the day of, I was like, oh my gosh. But then y'all, we really truly did it in one take, and that was it.
Yeah.
It was like, it was such a relief.
Just one take, and then of course
One
with
take wonders.
practicing. Oh yeah, one take wonders, and so one hit wonder is definitely not true because we have next eBay
Yeah.
Open too.
Right.
And
Yeah,
here's the
hopefully
thing,
so.
though. You bring Kenny in, and he's like, "We're talking about practice." Kenny, it's just throw him on stage, and
I know.
he's
It's
got
like
it.
if he practices, it's different every practice to a point. right?
That's also true.
That's
too.
why we don't practice, because I'm gonna
Yeah.
shock y'all on the day
different
off.
every time.
This wasn't part of the. I don't remember this part, and then
Yeah.
Kenny's just going off.
Equally brilliant, but yeah. But we did at eBay Open that week while we were, or filming week, I should say, like eBay Open content prep week. We were on campus, and we got the chance to finally all be in the same state, the same
True,
room,
true.
the same building together. And so we got our first little taste of kind of setting up and podcasting a little bit together, recording some stuff, yucking it up, getting some photos together. And that was really cool. And we were like, wow, this is actually getting real now. And so when we get home from this, our focus so much that week was on eBay Open and stuff, but we kind of did that in between just where we had downtime and stuff. And so when we got home, it's like, all right, we gotta take this and run, so I think at that point we had kind of started making a bit of a podcast schedule and figuring out how we wanted to approach like launching it and introducing ourselves to the space, and to our listeners. And
Yeah.
then we hit the ground running pretty much when we got back, right?
Very true. So podcast a win. Now, Kenny mentioned uncut gem, chiseling. Speaking of chiseled, Ken hitting the gym. That was also a win this year.
Yeah, you have been too. You're trying to get back on track because
I
I guess that means 24 is my year, you guys, because
Yeah.
I am the least chiseled.
Chisel.
you're the gem.
Sure.
You're the gem. You're the gem.
I'm the uncut
Uh-huh.
gem.
Chiseled. There we go.
Yeah.
Anna's ready.
Oh man.
Yeah, I
Honestly, I
think
should.
I think a lot of it had to do with, I mean, like, I'm a very positive guy, but first half of the year was just not it. Like, it
Really?
don't it was just not it. And it's like, just trying to make with good intentions, right? Like, um riding from the momentum of 2022 to 2023, I had my hopes built up. And
Mm.
Yeah.
next thing you know, deals after deals falling apart because, marketing budget is not there, economy's not right. It's
Yeah.
just, it was just like, wait, like I was ready to travel more. And next thing
Going
you
into
know,
23.
yeah, and then first half barely traveled, like didn't travel. So I was like, that was a
Yeah.
complete shock. And
Mine was the opposite.
yeah, the other thing, so that's why I had to like shift mindset, and it's like literally like right before the month before eBay opened, I said I had to like do something differently, and that's when I literally like walked into Orange Theory, and I just enrolled myself, and I said like, I'm gonna take this time to really like decompress. My brain was running 100 miles an hour, borderline frustrated,
Yeah.
disappointed, and just kind of like, and when you face things like that, all of those were beyond my control, right? Like,
Right.
it's like you blame somebody, the guy blames the boss blames the market. So like I can't change anything,
You're
right?
the
Like,
guy and the boss.
yeah,
Dang.
yeah, there is a guy in the boss in the market, right? So I think, overall I was just trying to use it as positive, and that point I had more time, like, so
Hmm.
so got in there, start working out, and been working out since, and been feeling really good. So I
Yeah.
think my mental state is way better. Way
Well, I
better. I
think it's
Well,
had
funny
to
how people. Oh, sorry, Anna. Go
go
ahead. Go
ahead.
ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying. I think it's funny how usually people want to hit the gym start of the new year, and as you know, being in January, it's like I think a lot of people put this pressure on themselves that I overate for the holidays.
Yeah.
I'm a slob. I gotta hit the gym, and the gyms are always packed, and then
Mm-hmm.
weeks into it, it's down to the people that were committed to begin with.
Yeah.
And I don't think there has to be some sort of, I don't know,
Time.
time, yeah, commitment on time and pressure to get into the gym now. I think when you're ready and you need to do it, you really need to focus and make it a
Yeah.
consistent part of your lifestyle, and not just a little New Year's trend, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like just the mental health benefits alone, like when you said focus just now, it made me think like, yeah, I mean, there have been periods of time in my life where I have worked out like really consistently for a long time on end,
Mm-hmm.
that hasn't been my life since I've moved, really, because that was just such a huge upheaval and I haven't gotten into groove with it yet. I mean, I have worked out, but not like on a consistent basis yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to get back to that. And I was just thinking, like, yeah, you really get back tenfold what you put in when you work out, because especially focus. For me, focus is such a hot commodity in my daily life. And, if you can just concentrate your energy and your attention on going and doing the workout, like, you get to have better focus the whole rest of the day. And, you're putting in some of your energy and you're getting back energy for
Yeah.
doing that consistently. And I think there's a really good case for that, as people in general, but especially when you are running your own business and there's so much going on in your head all the time, as well as, physically you're running a store. Like, it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of mental tax too. So
Yeah, and I
I
feel
really
like
should. So 24 is my year. That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
Get
see,
in the
there
gym.
you go.
I'm going to need a workout plan from each one of you submitted on my desk next Monday morning, and I will decide whose I'm going to follow
Oh,
by the following Monday.
there we go. I think Ken offered to do like a FaceTime workout every day, 30 minutes a day.
Yeah, I had to
Just
double
Ken
check if
huffing
you're
and
actually
puffing.
doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
No,
I think that.
it's. Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
I was gonna
Glenn.
say, I
We're
think
so
about
good at
the
talking at
same. The same
time.
goes for like that's when I was going back and forth with like Whatnot and eBay and posting on YouTube. Like I never gave anything up completely because I always feel like once you stop completely for months on end,
Yeah.
it does get really difficult to get back on track, or maybe you just lost that momentum or even remember some of the stuff and you're trying to get back into that thing. It takes time to build that up again. So whether you're working out or you're listing on eBay, let's say you stop for months on end and you're like, I'm going to get back into eBay. And then you're like, oh man, I'm kind of out of this for a little bit. Let me check how these items are doing, or how do I get into a process again of listing nonstop, or, and then mention that focus is going to be key.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and like Ken was saying, in his situation, he was like really frustrated and like relatively down for what a positive person he is. And that was something, right, Ken, that in this year of your life, you're like, this can be my healthiest year ever.
Yeah.
And you hadn't really fully like delved into that yet. And so, all these things were out of your control that were not going that well. And you said, you know what, I'm going to go out and get the win that I know I can get because it's in my control. And this is the thing I've committed to and I want to follow through with it. And then lo and behold, like, so many of the circumstances also changed after
Yeah.
that. And it's
Yeah,
not
literally.
waving a magic wand, but it is
No, it
interesting
wasn't.
to note that you got your mindset right, and you got, kind of, you focused on some stuff you could control and moved forward, and like other things changed.
Everything
They
followed.
changed.
Yeah, everything
Yeah.
followed, right? Because
It's connected, yeah.
I think that's one of the things that I guess we can highlight at the beginning of the year, right? Like last year has passed.
Yeah.
Take it for what it is, evaluate it, but also like I think the best start or the best thing that you can do is find something that you can get that instant W, right? What is that? Like my first W was stop drinking soda. That was my first W, and instantly I just like, okay, like now I feel better, and it's just like that, and it goes so much that I can now dedicate certain points of my time to a project, because now you're like, okay, you have that sense of accomplishment and you know that you're getting a W already, and apply that to all parts of your life, then all of a sudden you just start getting results. I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things that we have done in our business this year. Like we have focused, spent time on certain thing that was working that we know we can control, and right after that, it was just like opportunities after opportunities.
there we go. Do you want to go individually on, I guess, some of the more wins, or some of the, are they really losses, or they're learning, or
Losses or lessons, baby.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh.
I think we could keep doing wins, like just, like that was a lot of Ken's like health journey and stuff. So, do you have some you want to talk about?
Well,
Win?
I mean, for me, a big win was first year as a first time dad and learning the ins and outs of becoming a parent. And that was a big win for me. And now going into year two is terrible twos. I don't know how true that is or not, but I guess I'll find that out. That was really good. And I feel like on the learning part of it, though, there's so much that me and my wife are trying to figure out schedule wise, what makes sense for baby and for me, for her, and it is just a totally different ball game. Like I did not everything that they say about becoming a parent and balancing some sort of, I don't know, routine or something, it's all true. It's very difficult.
It's all true.
They were right.
It is. Yeah, they were right. It is no joke.
That's funny. The
and the
schedule
work
is serious.
Yeah, it is. And I think everyone can relate to this, whether you have a child or not. You just have to accept when things don't go the way that you think it's gonna go,
Yeah,
and not
totally.
putting that over yourself, to, or even having that, like, like even Ken having that mindset. Yeah, you want to stay positive, but something didn't work out.
Yeah.
You move on, and you figure out where you want to go from here. And
Yeah.
something is easy for us being a parent, be like, yeah, we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna go here, and we're gonna go there. and then something happens with the plan, something happens with baby, something completely goes off track. It's like, well, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So now we move on to the next day or the next,
Yeah, it's so true. Like, I think clarity and peace are two of the best products of like just accepting something, right? Even if you don't like the thing that you're
Yeah.
accepting and it is still a disappointment, the act of accepting it gives you clarity and peace that you don't get to have when some part of you is still trying to fix it or still trying to make up for it or still trying to work it out. And I can't imagine, I'm not a parent yet, but like there's probably like daily things where you're like, well, that went sideways, right?
Yeah,
'Cause, like,
exactly.
because that's how it is with little kids. Like, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
So you're getting tons of practice with acceptance, hopefully. But, you know, I think that does apply to everybody and in some way in their life. Like, practicing acceptance is kind of like practicing gratitude, right?
Yeah, exactly. And into the reselling part, let's say being accepting, I was accepting the fact that a big bulk buy that I purchased is not worth what it was when I purchased it. And so
How many pairs, to give a context, how many pairs was that bulk buys?
So I believe the first bulk buy of that one was like 300 something pairs. And most of those actually sold pretty good at that time.
So doable, 300 pairs.
Yeah, doable. And then the
Reasonable.
second one of that I think was like close to 4. And that one was 400. So that one sold like pretty decent. And then another bulk I think was like 200 and so on. And I think there was one more after that. And it felt like the buys got a little worse as they went on. I felt like the really good one was the first one.
The
first
first one.
The second one was okay, and it was like it was moving, and then it's like third and fourth one was like, and then the fourth one was like, and I was like, oh, this is not going well, and so
This is when you start wearing the reflective vest and then the hard hat, right? This is when you became a storage guy.
yeah, I became a full
Yeah.
storage guy, and
It's hard though, because sometimes you're like, well, I need to collect enough data or have enough
Yeah.
experience to like make an informed and not just emotional decision about it. So
Yeah,
it's like,
true.
okay, there's a
So now he
definite
has
trend
both.
here.
Now
Yeah,
just both.
now you have the emotions and the data and a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff left. I think.
yeah.
I'm assuming.
Exactly. I mean, the
Yeah.
first one, yeah, sold great. The second one, I'd probably say most of it's gone. The third and fourth one, I think I was kind of really riding on the higher priced items that were moving well, and now
Yeah.
those are gone. But now the mid to low tier range items are sitting, and looking on everywhere else that they're selling, they're obviously at a better price, brand new with box. And I've accepted it to where like I'm trying to move locally, and I'm also on Whatnot. Just hey, they move, get them out,
Get them out of here.
and really condense. So what's one of the goals is just like getting that down to one storage unit
Yeah.
and one main good one, and not a small, medium, large with small and medium having
Yeah.
decent items. We don't want decent. We want the
we
good
want
ones.
the best.
Yeah.
No, that is facts though. I have been in that situation before where I think at one time I had 4 storage units and they were like different sizes, and I finally was able to consolidate down to 3 and then eventually down to 2, just the 2 biggest ones. And I was stacking my bins at the ceiling and stuff in there at that point, but I was like, I am so tired of opening 4 doors every time I have to come pull stuff to
Yeah.
ship. And yeah, now I don't have any, but like, man, it was like so refreshing to even just eliminate one. Like, it was a huge win.
Yeah, I could see, very relatable.
So
not all of us
relatable.
have big storage
Cavernous
spaces
storage space in our house.
in our home to where you could just walk downstairs in your PJs.
Yeah.
And Kenny's space is
It's
people
legit.
see that on IG all the time and they love it.
Yeah.
So-
What about you, Anna? What about you?
You mean my storage or my wins?
Both.
I mean, honestly, my storage is
Well,
a
you
win
did.
because
Why don't you talk about your move? Like, I think that's a
oh my gosh.
W. That's a big W.
Well, I feel like I never shut up about the fact that I moved, but I will for the sake of the win because, oh my gosh, it was a huge win. We successfully moved 600 miles away and with my entire store of about 10,000 items at that point. And I mean, so many things about moving here have been a win, but business wise, like I do have all my stuff on site with me. And it's not like the most glamorous, like it's a 6 foot tall, super old basement, but everything is there and it's well organized. And I'm working on making the space work better for me in 2024. So, I'm going to change up how some of the lighting and stuff is, and really just consolidate my items, like just keep making everything fit in a little better as I go. But that was a huge win. Like I have no drive to the storage unit anymore, and I love that. And also, God love the storage unit that I was in for years in Georgia, but it blasted a country station all the time, and especially when I would like day or night, 24 hours a day. And I would seriously like drop to my knees and thank God whenever the Spotify or whatever it wasn't working. Like occasionally it would just be like not on and I'd be like, yes, because it was so loud and I could not escape it. And I have a love-hate relationship with country music, but any radio station will get super annoying after several hours of the same
That's
like
true.
20 songs. And so when I was getting ready to move, I was doing all this work out there all the time, getting the inventory ready to be moved into a truck, right? And I spent hours out there by myself with just country blasting in my eardrums. So now it's funny because we'll be like out in public somewhere and I'll just be like mindlessly like singing along with whatever's playing in the store. And John will be like, why do you know this? And I'm like, because I heard it 9 million times in the storage unit. Like, seriously. It's funny.
Would you say you're a little traumatized?
Slightly.
Oh, okay,
slightly traumatized. But yeah, some really catchy stuff and some really annoying stuff also. But in any case, the win of just getting here, getting settled in, and actually I think nothing actually broke like in the move, which is miraculous, but I definitely had some hurdles when I got here. I had to like restructure all of my shelving. I also learned the hard way that if you put, huge steel shelves with like hundreds of pounds of inventory in bins on them on casters in a moving truck, all the jostling of the journey in the moving truck will break the casters. So I had that happen where a shelf just collapsed because the caster like broke and bins like slid out and like shattered glassware and like it was horrible. And that was after I got it all the way here, like weeks later. So that was like, there were moments like that where I was like tearing out my hair, for sure. But now I'm like, I have like my process is back in place and things are selling regularly again. I mean, it was a huge comeback from all the months that I didn't list any new inventory, and for a lot of that time I was still selling similar, and stuff was still selling, but it was like diminishing month over month, and that was very disheartening. I felt like I was doing everything I could to make it better, and also the economy was terrible, so it was like not great for any reseller that I talked to. But it was, everyone was making adjustments. But for me, that was like right on the heels of having not listed stuff for like most of a year. So it was tough. But, I think I also learned a lot about just like trusting that it's going to work out and trusting that, that I'm resourceful and that, for me, my faith is a huge part of it. Like God's providing for me, and I never had a month where my bills didn't get paid, and sometimes I didn't know how that was going to happen when I was really sorting through all of that stuff. And so, my family is all here where we live now. I have a great support system. And so it was tough, but it was kind of the best of times and the worst of times because it was so exciting to move here and, so exciting to take on the challenge. And now I am hopefully positioned for the best year ever of my store. Every year of running my store up until 2023, it was like exponentially better. Like my revenue was exponentially better, like everything about it. And 23 was like, like we've screeched on the brakes. We've grossly, fallen short of expectations for a number of reasons, but mostly related to moving and the months of disruption that came with that. But like ultimately, I still ended up right where I wanted to be and where I felt like I am supposed to be. And I'm in position to have like the best year ever. So, it was a temporary challenge in a lot of ways, but I think even surviving something like that and, coming out with your chin held high is like, or your head held high, your chin up and your head held high is like, it's like your chin held high. That's weird. That's not the phrase. That's two. But basically, that itself is like a victory. So
my double chin's up high.
Both of your chins held high.
So now that you're settled in, you're just ready to take on the world.
And that's why I'm going to the gym. I will not be holding both of my chins high in 2024.
I really think, walking into this year, considering all the, I feel like us collectively could say, like when you face challenges and difficulties like we all have last year, it sometimes it overshadows the win, right?
Yeah,
because there could be, like a lot of times we want 80% win, 30% losses. And what if it's, and then coming from the previous year, all of us felt like had an epic 2022. And then 23 is like, well, it's not so epic, right? That's why they say like it's 2022. It's like
2020 version 2.
Yeah. And it's a lot of it is just like, the perspective is kind of like just the expectation was different. Like I've expected for way more. That's why I felt like my disappointment was way more because of just expectation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the things I could control, I was like, well, that's okay. I expect there to be some challenges and some kind of, loss of momentum and stuff with like not listing new stuff, but man, it's like so many things that I didn't expect also came into play that made it harder, and just like actually getting settled and like building it back and getting back into a groove took way longer than I expected as well. And so, I mean, I definitely did some things kind of the way you described with going to the gym, Ken, where I was like, okay, like I need to quit fretting about this and like take care and like be a person and just like live my life and take care of stuff and, take care of myself and make sure that I'm still like having fun and, taking a break and resting and like having, feeding my relationships and stuff. Like I had to like intentionally redirect myself to that sometimes in 2023 because it was just so easy to get sucked into problem solving and like overwhelmed by all the circumstances,
But being a reseller, I feel like it's hard to just put things on pause. I mean, we're so used to selling and listing and shipping on a daily basis that like, what? Nothing sold today? You noticed. What? I didn't list today? You notice. I didn't source today? I didn't find anything today? You notice. It's like,
for sure.
It becomes part of your life that...
It does. And especially having a phone in your hand all the time, right? It's like, how many times do I compulsively check my eBay app like all the time?
Yeah. Well, right now.
Speaking of
right
phone.
On cue.
On cue. That was crazy.
We're not editing that out.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was spooky.
That was weird.
Oh.
That was an alarm that wasn't supposed to go off. Sorry.
Can I hear a cha-ching on my phone next, please?
That would be really nice.
Yeah.
A couple of cha-chings. Like right now.
Right now?
What about now? Now. I'm just kidding. Okay, good.
I wish that had been a cha-ching. I mean, when there's a cha-ching, you don't necessarily have to check it. You're just like, oh yeah, I made a sale.
Oh yeah, I just made a sale, baby. But no.
Yeah, it's true though. What you're saying, Glenn. I feel like I have to just switch into a different mode. Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm not in eBay mode right now. I'm in whatever else mode. But sometimes even just switching back and forth is really challenging. Like now I gotta get back into it.
Yeah.
So segueing to 2024, this year, what's like more pressing to us individually? I guess we can talk more a little bit about kind of like what we want to do personally, and then we could, probably dive into like what the Seller Club is going to be doing more of in 2024. So I guess I can go ahead. 2024 is like, I feel like riding the momentum of things that are going well, I feel like you have to identify those because those are the things that again you're getting the automatic win. For example, like mine's like just continue, doing what you're doing with your health, with going to the gym. So that's like I feel like that's an auto win that I don't have to start in 24, and I think those
Yeah.
are very important things. So personally, that's definitely what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be hitting it off fresh, um, and just have a better perspective of readjusting. So now I'm not expecting too much. So I feel like my happiness is at its happiness baseline is at its lowest right now, and I'm happy, right? So and then like anything else above this would be just like it feels like a big win, which
Yeah.
we should treat a win like a big win all the time and not always compare it to our previous win. So I think that's one of the thing. Um, Also too is like really try to build for us like try to build that lifestyle that is sustainable along for the full 12 months. And
Yeah.
I think that's a challenge for me because ideas come and go. I get into projects, I get into different, but this year I know this podcast is on deck. This is definitely something that's sustainable for the rest of the year. Our social media, we're gonna tweak a little bit, change a little bit, but nothing too drastic that we're gonna start from zero. So I feel like our main focus is find things that you're not starting on zero and dump energy on those. And then if I had extra, then I'll try to find something that I can suck at. So that's my 2024. That's this year's goal.
All right. Well, I think that I agree to work on the stuff that's been working, and there is this like I don't know, something to start fresh is always good. And
Yeah.
for me, I really want to just leave behind a lot of the things that were not working in the business, and there's the things that are working. I'm like, all right, let's go deeper into that. And we just talked about this on the live show with like, cleaner sourcing,
Yeah.
and being smarter on those decisions and not just necessarily looking at listings and comps and putting into perspective the market, the pricing, who's selling these items, what other websites are selling these items, who are you really competing with in general and not just on the eBay side of things,
Yeah.
because I almost feel like no item is necessarily rare anymore,
Mm.
unless it's like really really small, you know, what
Batch.
10 small handful of items that are really out there, and the price keeps kind of like driving up there. On certain shoes we've seen that,
Right.
but in this case there's just so much of that inventory out there that whatever you thought was somewhat rare probably isn't. I know on Whatnot I was watching some people sell, I'm selling a ton of hats too, and there was some people selling, like exclusive fitted hats and stuff. And I remember one guy was like, they don't make this one anymore. This one came out
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, and if you check eBay, they're at $80 for this hat. And I'm like, there's so many hats in a similar color that
Yeah.
someone can buy at $20 to $30.
Yeah.
Why would we need to spend 70 on this?
Yeah.
And where we're at in the market right now, does that really even make sense? And to maybe being having that passion in an item or in that niche, you're like, man, this is a rare find. This is a great find. And in reality, is it? Or maybe you're just favoriting that item because you
It's
love
the
that niche, which
attachment.
is
Yes,
fine.
the
Yeah, the
Yeah.
attachment.
attachment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what is it really
Yeah.
worth? So,
So, do you feel like for that, does that mean that you're going to effectively spend more of your time sourcing for those more rare items, like looking for them, like the thrill of the hunt kind of thing, and less time listing because it's not as much volume? Or how do you think you're going to approach that?
I think I'm going to approach it with getting very low cost items as low as possibly can, and just, you know, if it's not in that price range or it doesn't really make sense, easy pass. Compared to, like Ken said, you're trying out things. I don't think this is the time to try out anything.
Yeah.
Either you're gonna get that easy win, like Ken said, or you're just gonna leave it behind right then and there. All right, cool, next, and you're moving on. So for me, I feel like I'm not gonna spend more time sourcing on that end, but I want to spend more time on the content side. I think the content side was really fun on building up the channel, and having the business grow so much was also it was really difficult to balance both.
Yeah.
And the wins that are doing well right now in the business, I think, are a little bit more streamlined. I think they're a little bit easier to handle, a little bit easier to maintain, and they've been doing well. And let me go deeper into that, and then have some more time to get back into the content side of things, and something that I really want to do, I think, for this year too. And it's always good to just meet people that are still watching the videos. And really weird, randomly today too, ran into like 2 or 3 people at Ross that I've never met before. They're like, hey, like the videos and this and that, and
I was like, that's cool. I would scream if I saw you in a Ross.
I would scream. He's in his natural habitat. Don't bother him. What does he do?
No, I'd be like, oh my god!
Jump on my back or something, tackle him. Oh, there he is.
I would
Get him.
probably tackle you.
Yeah. So that's probably where I'm at right now. And on business side, no, not really out to risk certain things. So speaking of that, things are selling, which I don't. Sorry for that phone thing. So I guess it's a good sign.
I was checking my phone.
You're like, what
I
is
was like,
that?
are you serious right now? I turned it off.
Are we serious? So
we are pretty serious.
That's where I'm at. How I want to approach the business. We can go more into detail, I think, once we get Ken in here too, talking a little bit more about that. But Anna, your 2024 little game plan. What are you thinking, and where do you want to go?
What are you thinking? That's how I took that.
Okay.
What are you thinking? No, I do. I feel like because 2023 was so crazy and so much change and upheaval, and also so much kind of forced rest in some ways, with things being like slower, I feel like I am ready to kind of like tackle things again this year. Not you, even if I see you in Ross. I won't, I promise.
Tackle them.
But I will tackle, goals and challenges. And like, there are a lot of things that I probably would have been kind of chugging away on through the course of 23 that I just really didn't have the bandwidth for some of my other creative projects. And so definitely some of those things I want to intentionally work on, regularly throughout the year. And so, I do have sort of, I guess, in a way, plans to strike a little bit more of a balance where I'm going all in on my store again. I'm not in like pause/maintenance/moving mode anymore. But, because I have good processes, like, that's not going to take all of my time. So I can actually start putting time back into some of these other things that I care about as well. And then, of course, like Seller Club, like that wasn't a thing, until midway through 2023. So like that takes up its own real estate in my calendar and in my brain and in my life now, which I'm really happy about. And I really can't wait to see what we do in 2024. I feel like 23, we kind of got going. In a way, it felt kind of like a soft launch, and we let everything really grow organically and got to know each other a lot more and got to really find our groove. And so this year is like our year. I'm really excited about that. That is definitely a big piece of it.
What about content creation? So here's a question for both of you. How do you feel like where content creation is going for 2024? Obviously, with TikToks and these influencers, let's say in my quotations, influencers. I think a lot of people they've caught on with scamming and things aren't really what they really are on what you see on IG. Yeah. But I also feel like there's so much recycled content over and over again that I've seen so many times and just said a different way. where do people go from here, content wise? What do they want to see? What do you want to see? What do you want to not only create, but what do you like that's even going on right now on the
Hmm.
social media side?
Really interesting question.
I
Kenny?
think my take on it is um, I am not looking for in community reselling world inspiration. I'm trying to look at different industries. Like you said, like if it's gonna be a recycled content, like I yes, I could probably make a twist and make it, a higher quality, but I'm just my um I'm trying to find a more of like a checklist or a lens that I need to look at an idea from, right? Is this
Mm,
something that I enjoy doing? I feel like that's one, because I feel like the best creative thoughts that I've had are stuff that I really have fun doing. And I think two is like is just helping somebody in one shape or form, right? Whether it's informational, entertainment, peek behind the business, um, because I think that's one of the things that I want to provide and create a better, positive community around us, in the in the reselling space. So I think those are, I guess, the two things that I'm excited more about, and really just trying out different skills. Like I feel like I cannot approach content the way I have approached my content last year based on what I know. I want to
Yeah.
find ways that what do I not know, right? Like certain edits, certain software that I haven't used, certain camera that I haven't played around with. So that's where I'm coming from. And then out of that, it's just, a blank canvas. Use these tools, splash some different colors that I've never used before, and I think that's gonna be enjoyable. And again, in a theme of sustainability, I can do that all day long for the next 12 months, meaning because I enjoy it. So, doing something
right.
that's just because, like, oh, you have to make one post today. And then now you just have to scour some random, thoughts that's,
Like, how should
like,
I, yeah,
yeah,
crank
like
this
I
out?
think that one that leads you to burning out quick because you're just squeezing something out of you that's
Yeah.
not even in you. So I think that's my take on content. I mean, what about Anna? I mean, I would say first year of content creation, right?
Yeah.
Or first
Yeah.
half of the year.
I mean, yeah, first half a year. Exactly right. I mean, I've had such a love hate relationship with social media in general, and I'm very curmudgeonly about it. But that's been my commitment to myself ever since you kind of dragged me back into the light a little bit, Ken,
Yeah.
is that I don't want to just do it. Like, I want to enjoy it, honestly,
Hmm.
you know, contribute in a meaningful way and get something meaningful from being there, because I have definitely done the doom scrolling. I have wasted plenty of my life, looking at other people and comparing myself to them and all of that nonsense, like all the nonsense that comes to social media, right? But I do think, like, I have super enjoyed a lot of the creative stuff that I've been able to put together that does serve a specific purpose, that maybe does explain a specific concept or whatever. And I think as long as, like, that is my plumb line or my litmus test or whatever you want to call it, like, as long as I am really enjoying it and I'm doing it from like a spirit of kind of generosity, that I'm like honestly putting this out here because I want it to help someone and I'm doing my best at it and I'm not just throwing something together, then I will keep doing it. And that's kind of like, I have lived a long life without social media before, and I have no bones about doing it again if it becomes like a toxic bad thing. But so far it's been pleasantly surprising, and it really has. I'm not a videographer by any stretch of the imagination, but it really has been fun to like learn new tools. And I'm always like making little quippy jokes and like puns and stuff, and joking, like I've joked my whole life with like my family and my husband about like I'll be like, oh my gosh, how did they failed the assignment? Like, why didn't they do this as a marketing strategy or something? And it's like something so obvious and hilarious
Now
to me.
it's you.
Yeah, and now I'm like, this is an outlet for all of that stuff that's like, I would always be like, oh my gosh, they should have done this. They need to hire me. Like, hire me. I will market this for you. But because I just have all these like goofy ideas. But that's the thing. Like, it's goofy and it also gets the point across. And so I definitely rely on like humor and entertainment a lot. But, I never would have just like randomly done that for the heck of it. So you encouraged me to do it, which I really appreciate. And it's been so fun. And it's, provided opportunities that have been really like helpful for me too. And learning a new skill is always something that is just like, I mean, it's hard. Like like you said, you have to suck at it first, but then once you get like at least a little bit proficient, it's really enjoyable and it's really rewarding. So, I want to keep on making whatever I can make kind of in good faith. And that is actually going to be a positive contribution that helps people or informs them or entertains them or whatever. Like, it's got to serve some purpose. But I could see myself, going forward in a lot of ways with it as long as it satisfies that.
So are we gonna see Glenn make some Instagram reels now?
I mean, I can tell you that I come from the YouTube side more than anything, but that with combo with IG,
long form. Right?
Yeah, but even then, adding in IG and some of the other stuff, I think I'm tired of both ends of the spectrum of like, hey, I'm just killing it all the time. Yeah. I'm just the best reseller ever. Business never fails. And no one really knows what this person really does or not do. And then I'm tired of the other side to where eBay's out to get me. eBay sucks. I don't know what to do anymore.
You got the gurus and then doom and gloom.
Doom and gloom. And then, but the bad thing is doom and gloom brings in so many viewers and so many
misery loves company.
Exactly. And I'm just like, why can't we just get the real, of both? Yes, you're gonna have times in your business where things are great and things are, you're in this nice motion and things are just selling, and then you have that time where it's just like things are slowing down. Why? Maybe it's your items. Maybe they can't find your items. Maybe sourcing is slower this month, this week, this day. I don't know.
Maybe they flipped off the switch. Oh, no, we debunked that.
Oh, yeah, the switch,
There
of course.
is no switch.
And so I'm like...
Hashtag there's no switch.
Hashtag there's no switch. And I'm like, oh, man, that's just the stuff that I'm kind of like torn in between. And
So you're trying to see, are you going to be a guru or are you doom and gloom team?
Yeah, which side am I going to choose? And I also feel like with the market and the way that it is, I'm like, videos or bolo lists and bolos for this, does that even really matter anymore? I feel like you can sell anything.
Yeah.
you get it low enough, you can sell it.
Yeah.
I'd be selling anything. So yeah.
I
mean, it is interesting. It's just like there's definitely kind of just a voyeuristic thing of like, oh, I love to just see what other people sell. Like I like watching what sold, or I'm weirdly not as interested in haul videos of like, this is what I found, at least in the like thrifting kind of world. But I'm always curious, like, wow, someone actually bought that, like what are people buying? Like that's, it definitely helps on some level to like get some exposure to like different clothing brands or something that you might not have heard of before or whatever. But like, I'm not like studying those to learn, I may be getting a little bit of education in passing, but mostly it's just like curiosity. Like, what are other people selling,
Yeah.
But that's not something I like rely on. That's content that like I enjoy / tolerate depending on how engaging it is, But I don't know. There's so much content that I find like super annoying and don't want to like see or encounter, And I'm like really, I'm really like happy to just unfollow anything that I'm like, that wasn't good. I don't want to see anything like that again. That was a drag, or that was like a bummer, or like I appreciate people being real, but there's a difference between being real and like in a productive way and just like whinging. And I'm not here for the whinging.
Yeah, I think my biggest take, I think one of the things that I've learned in observing the way I consume content is I love following people's journey, the
Mm,
story of the ups and downs. So I would call it like a real life documentary film, and it has been true to the um, YouTubers that I watch. It's, like I'm big in, car industry YouTubers, and I actually, like, it's JC like jokes around like, oh, you're watching your friend, like
yeah.
it's because like
You're
I feel like
invested.
that is one thing that we can all grab onto, like the positivity of growth,
Yeah.
of, like reinforcing your eyes and mind that it is possible. Because in the world where you are so susceptible to the disbelief of like, oh, there's only one millionaire, oh, you can't be that next millionaire, you can't be that next successful person that builds a lifestyle according to how you want to live your life. And that has been kind of like the message, or the general quote of things like, oh, you have to work until you retire and then enjoy life. Oh, you have, I mean, it's like there's so many voices of dictating how you would live your life, but there are also a lot of people that have documented their journey,
Yeah.
that they you can build a life too. I think like, the one, Glenn, our OG seller and content creator here, has built a life based on it, and now, being having a kid now, like, like building a family around something that has sustained him for so long. I think that's the reason why, like, a lot of people still watch the video and stuff like that. A lot of people still consumes content. So I think that's kind of like my general rule. Like if it's showing a journey or a progress, um, because a journey could have like, tough times too. And I am
Yeah.
terrible about doing that because I always try to spin it in the good, but there are bad things that happen.
No
At
way.
that point it's like, I don't, right, like, but also like I feel like that's the challenge for me. It's like I need to share the challenges. I need to share
Yeah.
the lessons learned, because that way the people that are watching don't have to commit the same lessons or the same, traps. So I
Sure. Well,
think
and I
that's kind of
mean,
like,
I'm sure like you have a lot of followers on your social media accounts, and I'm sure not all of them are sneaker sellers. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I'm
yeah,
sure there's plenty of people watching your journey for the journey.
mm-hmm,
And it's interesting that, like, that's how you made your living, but that's not all there is to you. And I
yeah,
think that, especially for people who are kind of carving out their own path in life, there's just so much potential and so much
mm-hmm,
magic at the intersection of things that you don't necessarily expect. Like you're saying, watching the journey of someone who's like in a totally different niche or in a different industry, or kind of their journey centers around something that's totally unrelated to what you're doing. But the fact that you're watching their journey, that's the intersection,
mm-hmm,
that's
yeah,
where you intersect with that person's story. That's where you're in a position with your life experience to look at what they're experiencing and see some connections that might help you, even though it's not related to you personally, or it's not
right.
related to what you're doing exactly. Like, I think there's so much like rich treasure waiting there.
Mm-hmm,
What about I guess before we go, I know we have a couple of things to also I guess talk about, but real quick, maybe the things you're going to look forward to or what to expect on the marketplace side from the selling side, the eBay, the whatnot, the Mercari, all these things, just maybe e-commerce in general. It could be where 2024 is heading there.
Yeah.
And I think live selling is still going to be a big thing. I think people are very invested in that. I don't believe eBay is there yet as far as like where it's
mm-hmm,
getting.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to see eBay get there,
Yeah,
and
I
be
would
a
like to
major
try
player.
it.
Yeah, definitely on that side of thing. I don't think Poshmark is there either. I feel like there's a lot of bugs there that they're still trying to figure out, to try to compete on that side. I feel like we talked about this too on the live show with like fast fashion and how much that comes into play,
Oh man.
and what's going to
Yeah.
happen there as it battles with like eBay and Amazon on that side of things. I think with the eBay, promoted listings has been a major topic in 2023. I think it's going to
Yeah.
continue in 2024, and where that's headed as well. And the battling, I think, on being like on the first page on results and getting your items seen is going to be a big deal. And I'm really going to pivot in between eBay and whatnot, depending on what I'm selling. And I also agree with Ken too, like items that people are specifically looking for is an automatic W for eBay. You're looking for
Yeah.
Kobe Grinch, you're gonna find Kobe Grinch when you go on eBay. You're looking for that on whatnot, you're probably not gonna find that
Yeah.
in your size. If you do find it, it may not be your size. It may be pre-owned, maybe not, maybe it is. You don't really
Maybe
know
you don't know
depending
till
on
you get it.
yeah, or who's ever on that's selling it. It may
Yeah.
not even go
Yeah.
for
Right.
the price that you're willing to pay.
Yeah.
But for moving items quicker, and if you're getting items in a high volume, whatnot is better than I would say eBay on that side of things. So that's where I'm kind of at on the platform side,
Yeah.
and I'm just gonna try to take the easy dubs on both platforms, like Ken said,
Hmm.
for as long
Yeah.
as I can.
Well, it's like build on what's working,
Right.
you know, wherever you are. I mean, I think that's a good that's a good takeaway. But also like, you know, just thinking about being in your shoes, the ones you're wearing, not the ones you're selling. But
Yeah.
being in your shoes, like I don't have any experience on other platforms and I've always been such an eBay loyalist and I'm kind of realizing that selling on other platforms is not necessarily I don't necessarily have to violate my loyalist nature
Your
in order to
beliefs.
do that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, truly, because I mean, a lot of it also has been just selfishly. I'm like, well, eBay's working, so why would I
Right.
divert my energy to something else
Hmm.
I don't know is going to work? Like, eBay's a safer bet. But I'm also more interested now, just from an observational perspective. Like, I want to cross post to other platforms so I can have some experience with those platforms and figure out who's doing what really well. And, like you said, kind of figure out where are the best wins. And also, like, if there's any insight that I can share with eBay, who is the love of my life, about what I think they can be doing better, like,
Hmm.
I need to be more informed about that, you know? So
Right.
it's kind of a bigger picture thing for me now. So I will definitely be getting into that this year at some point.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I would say keep. I would really keep doing the same thing we've been doing, probably 70%, of the time, and then the other 30 are just like little wiggle rooms where we could test and try things. I think sometimes we underestimate our our experience, um, and kind of like maybe we learn too much too fast at the same time, that that experience get put aside. So I am going back to experience. I mean, the reason why I've been buying used shoes, fixing them up, cleaning them up, because that's where I started, and that's
Mm.
where I found the most joy in doing, like cleaning a pair of shoe. Like it's therapeutic for me. It's like, you're kidding me, it's free therapy and I'm making money. So I was like,
Mm.
that's a dub. But also, that's one of the things that I want to do, and also to, like, I want to live life. Like I wanna like, last year, I want to travel and take breaks, not because I need to.
Not
I'm
because
at
you're
the point
burned
of
out.
burnout, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to try that again. We did that, learn from experience. I want to, take breaks intentionally because I can and I want to, and it is filling a cup, you right? Like, it's filling my cup as far as, fulfillment, like learning and seeing, being in a different state, maybe a different country, or experience
Seller
something
Club
different.
strategy cruise. Just saying.
Yeah, yeah,
There you go.
something like that, right? So I think that's kind of like a priority for beyond the marketplace, because at the end of
Yeah.
the day, right? Like, I don't want to enjoy life later, like when we can build it at the same time enjoy it. So I think
Yeah.
that's the pretty cool thing. And again, circling back to the Seller Club, I mean, it's a perfect segue to, I think last, segment here for this new year in
Announcing
2024.
the Seller Club Strategy Cruise. No, I'm just kidding. We're not really doing that. I mean, we can. I'm down, but
I mean, who knows, right? Like we went
that's
from
not currently in the plan.
we
for
went
this
from
year.
no podcast to a podcast.
Shoot.
What stops us from, going to the moon this year?
I mean, just your lack of imagination, Ken. That's all that's stopping us.
So Anna,
So, before we leave, what's our last little part right here?
Ooh. Well, I feel like what's safe to say, January 1st, 2024, is that we do have a lot in the works. We have been working really hard so far in the short, young life of our podcast to plan a lot of great stuff. And, beyond just scheduling ahead, of episode topics and stuff like that, we really want to build this community. We really want to partner with other podcasters. And we've also been talking to some pretty exciting potential partners and sponsors. So more on all of that later. But everything we do is going to be designed, of course, to better equip the Seller Club, right? Better equip the people in the Seller Club, which is not just the three of us, as a reminder. So, we will definitely be unveiling some details in the very near future. So please stay tuned for that. Yeah. But we are really having our first full year, like full out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We're like off the riff. I mean, like from the start, we want to schedule Paint 2024 in January for Seller Club, which is one of the things that we can control. Just few small things that you guys can expect is we're going to be a lot more active in social media as far as, doing some giveaways, some tips, some maybe some potential raffles, or really handing out tools that will be useful to you guys, not just, in learnings, but also in physical tools, right? Wink, wink. There might be something there that everybody wants and everybody needs to take better photos.
Maybe,
right? Or maybe you don't have to live on the Flintstone age, so you might not need your paper taping labels anymore.
Okay, here we go. I thought we left that.
I feel attacked. I feel personally attacked.
Yeah, that was old. That was old news.
That was
That was
that was
personal.
1999.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I'm excited for this year. I feel like there's a lot that we're excited for. Let's just see what happens. So we got to go along. We got to keep working, keep building, and everything will fall into place.
So stay tuned, because all the details of that will be included along the way as they do fall into place.
Yeah.
But
very,
we
very
are super excited about it, and we will not make a habit of being this cryptic, but we just want you to know that there is a lot to look forward to, and we're not just like floating into 2024.
No, we got a goal. We're people driven with mission, and we are gonna accomplish major things this year. So I mean, there you have it, guys. The first episode of 2024, on the first day of 2024, taking a dub. Keep focusing on the wins, and crap, I just brain farted.
The ball dropped, the beat dropped, and now Ken's brain has dropped.
That was a good one. I'm gonna include that.
Thanks. Well, you'd have to keep your brain fart in.
Yeah, I'm keeping it. Well, there you have it, guys. Our first goofy ending for this year's podcast. Seller Club, we're out. My name's Ken.
I'm Anna.
I'm Glencia.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yay.
Happy New Year.